Currently, apart from afforestation effort improving the quality of forest in many places, there still happen deforestation and forest degradation. The main reason causing deforestation and forest degradation is mainly due to the illegal exploitation of natural forests, deforestation for cultivation, conversion of exhausted natural forests to plantation of rubber or cassava, which derives from the lack of agricultural land. Natural forests are seriously degraded due to many different causes. The reforestation by planting native broadleaf trees, which are fast-growing and offers good wood, on degraded forest land has become an urgent issue.
Greetings from Trang Vietnam on VTC10 Net Việt. Forests are diminishing in many areas in the world, and many people are concerned about the ways and the methods of protecting the forest. In today's program, we have a conversation with two farmers from Laos on one method of protecting the forest by growing the indigenous plants. Thank you, Vieng Phết and Inta, for joining us. The first question we'd like to ask you is, what are the risks when we grow kind of the new plants in a certain area of forest?
In my opinion, afforestation with new varieties of trees may come with certain risks. First of all, these trees cannot survive in the new environment. Native trees often sprout from the existing trees in the forest. When planting new trees, they would not fit together. This can lead to the destruction of the forest ecology.
I also think that the new plants would not conform to the pure forest. We need to determine that the appropriate trees to plant in the forest. For example, many families planted acacia on their hills. Acacia may die or grows abnormally like other trees.
So what is the role of growing the indigenous plants in such areas of forest in a country like Vietnam, which is heavily affected by the climate change?
If the protecting and developing forests by planting native trees, I believe that the varieties will meet the needs of the people. In many countries around the world, forests are being cleared and replaced by industrial plants. These varieties have a negative impact on the forest ecosystem. Reforestation with native trees will bring many benefits to us. Native plants create biodiversity of the forest. Thus, forest trees can be rapidly growing. These forests, which were cut down, can recover quickly. Soil erosion and runoff are limited. Water resource is also more stable. People can cultivate on the land based on the energy and natural resources from the forest. Thus, we not only increase the biodiversity of the forest, but also protect the environment and limit the negative impacts of climate change.
Back in your countries, in what way did the local people there protect the forests?
In my village, every group of people has different notions about forest protection. There are peoples worshipping forests. There are ethnic people protecting forests by planting new varieties. Afforestation was difficult, and it is even more difficult to protect forests. We need to have the consensus of all members of the family on forest management in order to bring benefits to their families. Each person should be responsible for the protection and development of forests. Next, the common voice of the community is extremely important.
Each place has its own way of protection and development of forests. In Hương Sơn District, Hà Tĩnh Province, the people here began to protect and develop forests with the indigenous trees about 15 years ago. Nguyễn Tiến Hồ is one of the leading farmers in breeding and distributing indigenous trees to farmers in the region and help them plant and cover hills with green trees. With the area of about half a hectare, the garden of Tiến Hồ is home to many varieties of native trees, including Calophyllum sola tree, which is one of the fastest growing plants and brings high economic value.
Dân ở đấy là họ có cái tập tục là họ thích trồng cây bản địa. Thứ nhất là dựa trên những cây gỗ, tức là cây tự nhiên đã có trước đấy. Và họ trồng những cây tức là trước đấy có thể suy giảm về số lượng. Bây giờ họ trồng xen vào và từ đó họ lấy ngắn nó ra những cây này là khoảng 10 năm. Sau có thu hoạch thì những cây mà họ đã trồng giấy tán đó rồi là họ có thể những cây nữa họ có thể thu hoạch dần dần, tức là để chơi những cây to nên là nó cứ nối tiếp nhau. Tá hình thức giống như mà lấy ngắn nuôi dài á. Đấy, và họ biết được hiệu quả trong những cái công trắng này chẳng hạn. Và cái dẻ liếm dội, tức là cái công trắng này có thể là đến 10 năm trở lên là có cho thu nhập rồi. Và một khối cây công trắng này á là tầm khoảng hiện tại chứ bán đến thị trường á là nếu có giấy tờ là khoảng 3,5 triệu.
People in Khe Nam village brought the indigenous trees from Tiến Ho's family and planted them around their house. Previously, most of those hills like this are empty, but now perennial crops and tree of middle and short days are planted alternatively and turn them into green for villagers. After about 20 years, these trees will be harvested. People just can develop a farm at the foot of the hill and gain benefit from the trees they have planted.
Cây côn, cây dồi, cây dẻ hiệu quả trước mắt đã được hết là cho chúng tôi nước. Người dân Khe Nam chúng tôi phải nửa thôn chúng tôi là dùng nước từ trên rừng xuống, nước sạch. Cái thứ hai là cho cái khí hậu. Cái thứ ba là còn có thu nhập và hàng năm như rừng chúng tôi là hàng năm phải khoảng hàng trăm trái mật ong, có thể là được khoảng vài chục tổ ong về, bởi vì mình giữ bảo vệ rừng cho nên hàng năm một năm mình phải thu khoảng 20 đến 30 triệu là do thiên nhiên mang lại, đó là hiệu quả kinh tế mình bảo vệ trước mắt là nó sẽ đưa lại cho mình. Nếu như mình mà không bảo vệ được thì cái này không ai cho mình cả, chỉ có thiên nhiên mang lại thôi.
Thì cách tiếp cận của chúng tôi là các bạn dựa trên nhu cầu của người dân tại vùng đó, với những kiến thức tại vùng đó, với những giống cây tại vùng đó, và sẽ được làm bởi những người dân ở vùng đó. Đấy. Và họ biết những cây đấy nên họ mới là những người bảo vệ nó.
Instead of planting new varieties, people here focus on the development of forests with the indigenous trees. The seeds are collected by the locals in the forest and then taken home for treatment and planting. All of them are engraved with a philosophy. If you do not know what trees grow in the forest, how can you protect it?
Coming to Hà Tĩnh, a mountainous areas of Vietnam, and watching the local people protecting the forest by growing the indigenous plants. So what do you think about this model of the local farmers here?
When we came here, we had exchanged shared experiences and learned useful knowledge in the protection and development of natural forests from the teachers and farmers around the area. People have shared with us about the model's native tree species. We went into the forest and identified the location, shape, characteristics, and adaptability of plants to soil, water, and air condition. We also studied the flowering season, the falling time of the trees' nuts in the forest. We have learned when the trees' flowers bloom and give fruits and when they fall. For example, in October and November, seeds of forest trees often fall to the ground. We picked up the seeds and brought to the nursery.
Are there any kind of challenges and difficulties when you develop and protect the forest by growing the indigenous plants?
แน่นอนตามข้าพเจ้าคิดว่านั่นก็ตาม
We did encounter some difficulties and certain challenges. After collecting seeds and bringing to the forest trees nurseries, we have to take care for a long time to germinate seeds. Thus, the process of bringing small plants to the forest takes a lot of time. The second difficulty is the same as what many people face in Laos. In Laos, the support policy for people in the process of reforestation with native species is rather limited. The support of the government is very important. That is the difficulty and challenge that people in Laos are facing. Moreover, many households have low land for planting and
เป็น
cultivation.
ของรัฐบาลหรือว่าเป็นอย่างบ่เป็นของเฮาหั่นน่ะ
คือจะบอกไปเนาะตามข้าพเจ้าคือว่าได้เห็นอยู่นี่เนาะ
We also encounter some difficulty in the process of seedlings as seed quality is not high. Sometimes harsh natural conditions and technical levels is not high enough to ensure the survival rate of seedlings. After observing planting methods of the local people, I realized some problems as follows. During the nursery period, some insects and mice come to eat seeds. Therefore, we need to determine what time of mice and insects have broken into the garden to repel them. We also face difficulty when collecting nuts because sometimes seeds fall, squirrels and rats eat them. We do not collect enough the needed seeds.
เขาบ่มีอันเวลาจะไปอันรักษามันหลาย
Do you think that the experience that you learned from Vietnam can be applied back in your hometown?
ตามมันข้าพเจ้าได้ฮู้เนาะอยู่นี่
We can apply this approach depending on the region. Vietnam has many green forests. Therefore, we can easily climb up the forest and collect seeds. However, in Laos, many forests have been cleared. We do not have forests to collect wild seeds. We have to buy seeds from elsewhere. Vietnam has many kinds of trees and richer numbers of seeds. I think we can bring these varieties grown in Vietnam to Laos and replicate in the green forest because the natural conditions in Vietnam and Laos are similar to each other. The community in Laos also has its own customary law on the protection and development of forests. The knowledge that we have learned in Vietnam will help me a lot.
อยู่อันนี่เนาะ
I think the nursery and planting techniques in Vietnam can be applied in the forests in Laos. The trees in this area are characterized by high survival rate. Therefore, we will bring the seeds from Vietnam to Laos to plant. We are studying and learning about appropriate plants and can be grown in natural conditions in Laos. We live in a community. Tree planting and forest protection needs the joint hands of everyone. That is a difficult and challenging task. If you do this, you'll be able to protect the forest. The most important thing is planting with native trees will bring benefits to both the people and the community.
Once again, thank you Inta and Viong Phet for joining our program today. Hopefully the experience that you learned in Vietnam will be very helpful to all of you back in your country. Protecting the forest by growing the indigenous plants is one method, could be very helpful to protect the forest and also the environment in such countries like Vietnam, which is heavily affected by the climate change. And that's all we have for today's program. For comment and feedback, don't hesitate to write to us at shangvietnam@netvietv.net. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.